Out of all the classic monsters invented since the turn of the century, none have left their impact on pop culture quite like the undead flesh-eating corpses. Known by many names such as infected, walkers, hungries, or even ghouls, most of us just call them zombies.
Any zombies out there? Don't say that.
What?
That. The Z word. Don't say it.
Why not?
Because it's ridiculous.
Depicted in hundreds of different stories across the years, the zombie craze is real, and I'm here to nail down my top 10 zombie films. A little disclaimer before we start, as some of you may have noticed, this video is a re-upload due to the last one being plagued by copyright. Because of this, I've decided to add a few bonus titles, in addition of course to the original lineup. So if you've already seen this video, you can skip to this timestamp for the added extras. If not, without further ado, I present to you the Uninspired Reviewers' personal top 10 zombie flicks and more.
Yeah, boy!
After his plane crashes on the coast of West Africa, a US military engineer fights for his survival against hordes of the undead trying to reach safety, with the help of a local African soldier looking for his son after the attack of his village. This film is a genuine treat to fans of not only the original Romero slow-walking zombies, but the pulpy gore of Lucio Fulci as well. Managing to fill audiences with a constant sense of dread and suspense, wondering what's lurking around every corner while the hordes of undead corpses creep up on you. In a world where fast, mutated, and seemingly indestructible zombies reign supreme, the dead made slow zombies scary again for me. The film's setting is a plus. Shot in the plains of northern Ghana and Burkina Faso, it explores landscapes zombie fans haven't quite seen before, a genuine breath of fresh air in a genre that desperately needs one. Despite my praise, the film is not without issue. The acting can be a mixed bag at times, and the script suffers from some pacing problems. However, it does deserve credit for what it pulled off, especially in the first 2/3 of its runtime on such a low budget, boasting incredible practical effects you don't even see in high-budget studio productions nowadays, in addition to the disgustingly satisfying sound design being the icing on the cake.
Oh look! Carnage!
You can't eat the teachers, man!
When middle school students eat contaminated chicken nuggets for lunch, they become feral monsters out for blood, leaving the staff members to fight for survival. Cooties is a very fun film that knows what it is and doesn't take itself too seriously, although doesn't make light of the stakes. Even though it leans more on the comedic side, the horror sequences are expertly crafted with phenomenal child actors who all deserve praise for their creepiness and ultra-violence demanded by the script. The adult cast, spearheaded by Elijah Wood, whose comedic timing with Rainn Wilson is basically perfect in dire situations, is a highlight. Despite its simple script that I understand can feel somewhat lacking to some, especially when better zombie films are out there, I do think it deserves a chance. One location and kids as the main antagonists are something we rarely see in the genre. Plus, it's an amusing ride that I think everyone can enjoy with a couple of friends to have a laugh.
When the laws of science are broken, the last hope for humanity rests in the hands of a few.
When an experimental bioweapon is released, turning a whole town into zombies, an unlikely load of survivors band together to fight the infection and stop those responsible. Soaked in pure 70s B-movie schlock with modern-day practical and special effects, Robert Rodriguez makes a simple case: embrace the absurdity of grindhouse and B-zombie movies.
Give him that gun. Give them all the guns.
That boy's got the devil in him.
The film takes all the old and new genre tropes, doubling down on them while subverting your expectations in a good way. I don't want to say much about the film because it's full of awesome surprises, so just strap in for the ride in a well-written, acted, and directed production. I'd even call it a unique piece of zombie cinema that deserves to be appreciated. Now, the grainy filter on the movie may bother some viewers, but if you can get past it, try watching the entire 3-hour Grindhouse double feature. Even though the other Grindhouse feature isn't a zombie film, fans of B-movies and the exploitation genre will appreciate it and its creative intermissions directed by Edgar Wright, Eli Roth, and Rob Zombie, capturing the essence of 70s era B-movies.
I'm gonna eat your brain.
If anyone comes to the door, I want you to shoot them.
What if it's Dad?
Especially if it's your dad.
Robert Rodriguez, Planet Terror, a grindhouse feature.
When a hack director and his film crew decide to shoot their low-budget zombie film in an abandoned World War II Japanese facility, things take a turn for the worst when real zombies attack them. I highly recommend this film. However, if you want to watch One Cut of the Dead, I strongly encourage you not to do any research whatsoever. Don't even watch the trailer, it gives everything away. Keeping this in mind, of course, I've kept out anything that could compromise the story from this video. This film is such a treat to everyone who enjoys a good story and meta-commentary on both zombies and film. In essence, the first act is a huge setup for an amazingly satisfying and amusing payoff. Now, I'll admit the first 30 minutes can start feeling lengthy and a bit directionless. I won't lie to you guys, I almost turned the film off. But bear with the movie, there's a narrative reason as to why it feels that way. One Cut of the Dead is surprisingly funny with awesome characters, cool sequences, and great writing, most of all, working together to make a balls-to-the-wall zombie flick. Please don't make the mistake of watching the mediocre French remake. Instead, watch the Japanese original. I personally consider One Cut of the Dead a must-watch, and remember, try going in blind, it makes for a way better experience. Sent out to destroy a radio tower on the eve of D-Day, a small group of American soldiers crash behind enemy lines. They now have to complete their mission before sunrise while not only avoiding German forces, but their undead experiments as well. What a genuine surprise this was. Not only does it pack a stellar cast giving amazing performances all around, it takes a pretty simple story and does everything it can not to waste its premise. Like Planet Terror, it does include 70s B-movie tropes of evil German scientists and all that comes with, although the story elements are set to a serious tone, in addition to embracing World War II tropes popularized by films such as Saving Private Ryan.
Hey,
Overlord's unraveling mystery is one of the film's best aspects, even though the script can sometimes be a little too on the nose in general. If you're looking for great World War II action, this film is for you. If you're looking for great mutated zombie action, this film is for you. It's a simple yet entertaining story with a likable cast of characters making full use of its big budget through phenomenal looking set pieces and effects.
A 1,000-year army needs 1,000-year soldiers.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
Imagine, if you will, that something has gone terribly wrong. George Romero brings back the dead.
This entry is actually going to be a 2-for-1 with George Romero's 1978 classic Dawn of the Dead and the 2004 Zack Snyder directed remake. As the zombie apocalypse starts to unravel, we follow a traffic reporter, his girlfriend, and a couple of SWAT team members who seek refuge in a shopping mall. Dawn of the Dead is the equivalent of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2 for zombies. Whereas 1968's Night of the Living Dead had a serious tone, Dawn of the Dead takes more liberties in the creative process. The zombies are more of a looming threat that grow exceedingly dangerous as the runtime proceeds, centering on the character dynamics and hard choices that have to be made in grim situations rather than fast-paced zombie action. The film boasts great sequences with hardcore zombie violence, with the stakes being taken seriously, and even though there are absurd moments, the film manages to stay clear of tonal whiplash. Memorable characters, iconic one-liners, and great practical effects by the legendary Tom Savini make the 78 original definitely worth a watch.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Dawn of the Dead.
Officials have declared a state of emergency.
Everybody they kill gets up and kills.
2004's Zack Snyder directed and James Gunn written remake follows pretty much the same story beats. However, our protagonists this time around are a married couple, a nurse, a police officer, and mall security. Incorporating modern day effects with an overall serious tone and much added intensity to the original, Dawn of the Dead is a fantastic zombie flick that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, having zombies adhere to modern tropes, portraying them as wild animals instead of slow-walking ghouls. Despite its singular location, cinematography and set design keep everything fresh, in addition to its great pacing and fun character interactions. I consider the Dawn of the Dead remake the gold standard for modern American zombie films, and is arguably Zack Snyder's best film as a director.
You wanna play some hockey?
Norman, a misunderstood kid who has the ability to speak with the dead, receives a message from his deceased uncle that a centuries-old witch's curse will be unleashed on his hometown, with Norman being the only one able to stop it. As zombies rise from their graves, Norman, his best friend, and a few others summon all their courage to save their fellow townspeople. Created with Laika's signature stop-motion style that adds to the film's uniqueness, Paranorman is personally one of my favorite animated features that isn't talked about enough. The film is a genuine, heartfelt, character-driven comedy drama made to be enjoyed by kids and equally appreciated by adults. It tackles themes of family, friendship, abandonment, and self-worth in such a compelling narrative you won't want to take your eyes off the screen. Despite being a stop-motion animated feature, Paranorman crafts a hauntingly beautiful world like no other, with impeccable set and character designs. The film's cast is top-notch as well, boasting the voices of Casey Affleck, Anna Kendrick, and Cody Smith-McPhee leading the charge, playing funny and charming, well-written characters. In spite of being filled with lots of humor, these moments in no way undercut the emotion or stakes, leaving you more than satisfied when the film ends.
There's nothing wrong with being scared, Norman. Don't let it change who you are.
Paranorman.
A late-night television reporter, Angela Vidal, and her camera operator follow the nightly patrol of emergency services in Barcelona. Things swiftly take a wrong turn after an emergency call in an apartment complex turns into a hellish fight for survival. One of my absolute favorite films in general, Wreck is a true testament to what you can do with creative one-location filmmaking on a low budget. The film traps you in a claustrophobic environment which increasingly creeps up on you as the runtime reaches its tether, leaving the viewer with a pure sense of dread as the credits start to roll, accentuated by the film's found footage style. In addition to the masterfully built tension, Wreck's cast of characters come from varying walks of life and ages, leading to interesting choices and conflict when all hell breaks loose. The zombie virus's origins are also a key factor of the narrative, building a mystery that'll probably make your jaw drop by the time the film reaches its resolution. If you enjoy Wreck, which as a zombie fan I'm sure you will, do check out its sequel Wreck 2, picking up exactly where the first film ended and told from a new band of characters' perspectives. The other sequels, Wreck 3 and Wreck 4, aren't really worth the watch. These sadly tend to lean into more generic zombie movie territory. I recently had the chance to watch the original for the first time in theaters this October, and it was even more terrifying than I could have imagined on the big screen. A divorced workaholic father and his estranged daughter board a bullet train from Seoul to Busan to visit her mother. However, unbeknownst to the ongoing zombie outbreak, an infected stowaway boards the train, turning it into hell on Earth. Trust me when I say putting Train to Busan in the second spot was a very tough choice. The movie is basically perfect in every single way and should be considered the universal gold standard in terms of zombie films. Train to Busan is a purely character-driven drama set against the backdrop of a zombie apocalypse, masterfully written with so many little setups and payoffs that'll have your heart pounding the entire runtime while leaving you teary-eyed right until the final shot. Filmed almost exclusively on a train, the feature uses every aspect of the location to its full advantage, courtesy of Lee Hyung-dyuk's impeccable cinematography and the phenomenal script. The film follows the basic 3-act structure, however each act feels like a large meal, a movie on its own, presenting so much to unpack during the intermission moments that you'll be overwhelmed with emotion. Train to Busan also boasts an all-star cast of characters the viewer gets attached to almost immediately, in addition to every single actor delivering career-defining performances. These characters aren't your average zombie movie survivalists. They're realistic, smart, and adapt to their ever-changing situation, with the film exploring how people from varying trades and ages react to the circumstances, showing the audience how dangerous humans could be when thrusted into a kill or be killed scenario. Train to Busan's zombies are phenomenally creepy, amped up with the top-notch sound design, special effects, and uncanny movements. Even with all the praise I'm showering the film, I still feel like it's being undersold. No frame is wasted, everything serves a purpose of telling an unforgettable story. Train to Busan is the best traditional zombie film ever made to date, and the only reason it's not in the #1 spot is because the latter just had a slight edge. So do yourself a favor and watch Train to Busan if you haven't already. Sean is a 29-year-old with no ambition in life, surrounded by his lazy childhood friend Ed, his mom and stepdad, and his fed-up girlfriend Liz. After Liz dumps Sean, he vows to get his life back on track. However, the universe has other plans in forms of a virus bringing the dead back to life. Armed with a cricket bat and Ed by his side, Sean hatches a scheme to save Liz and his mother, paving their way through a zombie-ridden London. I mean, I think we all knew this was coming. I love Shaun of the Dead. The film is almost perfect, and the reason I chose this over Train to Busan is because the former masterfully blends romance, comedy, and horror without falling into tonal whiplash. It's all seen through the eyes of comedic characters who are so positive you can't help but enjoy the ride. However, stakes exponentially increase when they realize how dire the situation really is. Filled to the brim with exceptional acting and comedic timing, Shaun of the Dead will make you go from laughing to bawling your eyes out in the span of minutes due to its incredible script. Each setup is meticulously paid off in a brilliant feat of filmmaking perfect for fans of bloody violence and romance. If you love British humor, it's a film for you. If you love the original creepy, slow-paced zombies, it's a film for you. If you love romance movies where the guy has to overcome all odds to win back the girl, it's a film for you. Chock full of quotable moments, this feature is highly rewatchable, with the viewer finding so many new setups and references every time, in addition to enjoying Shaun of the Dead's spotless pacing, direction, and editing. It truly is a modern-day zombie classic that stands the test of time. I won't say much more on Shaun of the Dead, as I've done a full-length livestream with guests on this film, which will of course be linked in the description.
Oh.
Shaun of the Dead.
Just a little disclaimer, none of the bonus titles are ranked, but they are pretty solid films I've surprisingly never heard anyone talk about, so let's get into it.
Yo soy un sobreviviente. Sobreviví a Mariel. Este es el paraíso y nada lo va a cambiar.
Set in Cuba, Juan is a slacker trying to reconnect with his own daughter who plans to rejoin her mother in Miami. However, Juan and his best friend Lazaro began to notice locals going crazy, developing an appetite for human flesh. Together, they seize the opportunity, starting a business to profit killing off zombies, but soon find their lives to be at risk with the dead's increasing numbers. All the while, the Cuban government and media claim that the zombies are just dissidents revolting against the government. Juan De Los Muertos, also known as Juan of the Dead, is an incredibly funny satire on the Cuban authoritarian regime that will surely speak louder to history buffs rather than casual audiences. Highly enjoyable, nonetheless, the film generally doesn't take itself very seriously, practically winking at the audience at times. Despite a script that can feel lacking, not helped by the semi-linear approach to the narrative, which results in the feature feeling like a fever dream, Juan of the Dead will leave you with a smile on your face wondering what the hell you just watched. As opposed to Shaun of the Dead, this film utilizes both fast and slow zombies, also boasting solid practical effects for its limited budget and the gorgeous Cuban backdrop adding to its uniqueness. In spite of the film's harsh pacing, Juan of the Dead makes up for it with its merry cast of characters being the film's major highlight. From the lovable Juan to his transvestite helper La China and the latter's hematophobia-ridden Mike Tyson lookalike, to name a few. If you're looking for a film to sit back, relax, and enjoy on a Sunday afternoon, then Juan of the Dead is perfect for you.
Es una lástima que ese edificio nos tape la puesta de sol.
Qué bonito paisaje, ¿no?
So without my job, we'd all be dead. Then where would we be?
Dad?
So how many of you have ever had to kill a zombie? Well, not too many.
Set in 1950s suburban America, in a world where space radiation turned the dead into zombies, ZomCon found ways to domesticate said creatures into doing menial tasks, making zombies a part of every household. We follow the story of young Timmy and his pet zombie FIDO, who accidentally eats the next door neighbor, leaving Timmy to cover his tracks and protect his friend from being permanently put down by ZomCon. FIDO is a weird movie to say the least, in addition to being the most original zombie film on this entire list. The film is clearly a satire of America's consumer society in the 1950s, however, can be very on the nose in certain scenes. Thankfully, FIDO shines when its full focus shifts onto the narrative, delivering a heartfelt story about family and what it means to be human. With great direction, fantastic period set pieces, and top-notch acting from the likes of Carrie-Anne Moss, Dylan Baker, and Billy Connolly, FIDO certainly isn't going to please everyone, unlike most films on this list. Although I do think it deserves a chance, with the film managing to capture the classic 50s movie feel better than lots of recent period pieces. The film treads the line of absurd comedy, however, never undercuts poignant scenes or clashes with the overall tone. Despite its weird nature and wacky premise, FIDO is a worthwhile watch for zombie fans looking to expand their palette of the genre.
I don't want you thinking what we did is normal or okay in any way.
FIDO.
누구요? 뭘로요? 술 취했으면 자빠져 잘 것이지.
When a pharmaceutical company's illegal experiments accidentally create zombies, one of them unwittingly wanders into a small village where he encounters the Park family, who run a shady service station bilking travelers out of exorbitant amounts of money on repairs. However, when the eldest family member gets bitten and rejuvenates a decade, the family hatches a plan to turn it into a business, unbeknownst to the dire consequences. This is my personal favorite out of all the bonus recommendations. Zombie for Sale feels like if Stephen Chow finally made a zombie movie. Chock full of humor and references to classic zombie films, becoming knowledge that the characters use to defend themselves against the undead hordes, Zombie for Sale will surely become a cult classic itself over time. Expertly shot, written, and acted, with a colorful cast of characters you'll instantly fall in love with, the feature tugs on your heartstrings, balancing romantic, comedic, and dramatic elements in a beautiful blend that'll have you giddy throughout the entire runtime. I don't want to give too much away, however, trust me when I say you'll love this if you're a fan of Shaun of the Dead. Weirdly enough, even though this is a quite recent Korean film, in a climate where features like Train to Busan or Kingdom put K-movies back on the Western map, I've heard zero buzz surrounding it whatsoever. Which is a shame, as Zombie for Sale is definitely a criminally underrated zombie flick.
아, 씨발. 갑자기 달려오니까.
That is it for my top 10 zombie films and more, folks. I really hope a lot of you managed to find some new titles to watch. I've got several other lists I'm sure you might like, so please do check them out if you're interested. Thank you all for watching and sticking around this long. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do subscribe and drop a like if you did, and hopefully, I'll see you all next time.